Hello, Terry. How are you today?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Got you right on time today. I don't know. Last night, unfortunately, with we had a show with trainer Mark Henning, Sean and
Yeah.
I. It's just too much weather, I guess, in his area, messing up the cellular or the Wi-Fi signal, and it was really a case study of technology screwing things up.
That's true. They even canceled the game, the playoff game. So put it for
The
tonight.
baseball game, yes, that he was
Yeah,
waiting to watch between the Yankees and the Guardians.
that's it.
A native Ohioan transplanting to New York, becoming a Yankees and Mets fan
Oh yeah,
because he's afforded that ability as a transplant and not as a native, I guess, right?
yeah, that's right.
So
Although
tonight
I'm hoping
we'll
the
have
Guardians win.
what's that? The Guardians?
I'm hoping they win. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care either way. Tonight at 8:00 Eastern, we're going to have on trainer Rachel Kythen at 8:00. Hopefully, there won't be so many technical issues. Hopefully, the weather's nice where Rachel is. You can catch that at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. The easiest way to make sure you don't miss out on anything that we do is to click the subscribe button while you're on YouTube. Please help us get to 20 likes today, folks. That would be, we'd appreciate that on YouTube. The thumbs up actually help us with their algorithms, allows for more folks to find us when they search for horse racing. Yesterday at Parks, Terry, kind of an interesting day. We couldn't string 4 winners together, but we were able to string a lot of trifectas and exactas together.
Yeah.
And that's something that we'll have a little bit more about probably starting in November.
Yeah. They were nice paying too, most of them. So.
Well, today we couldn't have picked a more fun card, I don't think, at Horseshoe Indianapolis. It's supposed to rain there. I think there's a couple of races on turf. The scratches are not in full yet, I don't think, because of the potential weather there. And then most of the races are made in races of one sort or another. So it's going to be, I think, a wide open affair today at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Yesterday I was looking through the pace worksheets, and the story for every race just about was written in those pace worksheets.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I missed it a couple of times. So I tried to reflect a little bit more today as I was doing things, and hopefully we don't miss anything today.
Yeah, I hope not.
So the first race at Horseshoe Indianapolis today is not a maiden race. It's one of the few. It is a claiming race for $5,000, probably lower level than most of the mating races over at Horseshoe today. At the distance for 1 mile on the main track, the speed bias has been the way to go. So you want horses that are fast. And 2+. So if you wear a 2 or more on your silks, you end up getting a little bit of an advantage. It looks like the rail gets a little bit of a disadvantage. And I mentioned our pace worksheet, way to the winner's circle today. Let's see what stories the way to the winner's circle pace sheet presents today. First of all, in race number 1, there is a significant scratch. I feel like the 4-horse might have been one that could have been on the way there. Mm-hmm. We do have some pace here with the 3-horse and the 2-horse. Those are the 2 that are likely to be on the gas when the gates open and try to lead them from go to photo. I think there was a 2-horse. One of these horses is a prohibitive favorite. I think there was a 2-horse, right?
Well, right now it's the 1.
The 1-horse, okay.
Yeah.
The 1-horse does have a little bit of action in it in terms of its ability to string together a consistent race from beginning to end. I think the 1-horse is a big favorite there, Terry. I don't know. Well, like I said, this whole card is kind of interesting to me. So why don't you get us started with your picks, Terry? Hold on one second. Let me bring up the right page so that we're on the right spot, and then we can get cracking today with Horseshoe Indianapolis. All righty, Terry, take it away.
All right, my first pick's number 2, Nighttime Justice. She won her last race at Horseshoe Indianapolis. She drops in class today, has a trainer, wins 50% of the time when they drop off of a win, and the jockey who in the last 7 days has been in the money 9 out of 17 starts with 6 winners. And then I like number 1, Osceola.
Number 1.
Osceola. She ran second versus similar in her last race and has the highest last race speed rating. And then number 3, Fearless Anna. She likes Horseshoe Indianapolis, finishing in the money 55% of the time. She's won 15% of those races, and the distance won't be a problem. And then I like number 6, Chinatown Nancy, as she drops in class.
So for me, I like the 2-horse here too, Nighttime Justice. is coming off an easy 10,000 claiming win. Now dropping to claiming 5. It doesn't make any sense to me. Does it make any sense to you? It just doesn't make any sense. You think the horse would probably try to go up in ranks after coming off an easy win, but going down.
Yep.
Number 1, Ociela, top last race speed figure by a long way, but it was a huge bump compared to her last. Maybe better in the third start off the bench, but when you review the past performances, the last peak number was followed by some regression. So maybe a little bit of regression in here today.
Could
Number,
be.
What's that?
I said, could be.
Could be. Number 3, Fearless Anna. Doesn't really look like it on paper, but as we saw in the way to the winner's circle worksheet, could be one of the pace setters in here. And then 5 is there's only 5 horses in this field, but Dance Money doesn't look any different than the 6 to me on paper. They both haven't been close to anything of late, but you're getting twice the odds with the 5 horse. So why not take the better odds if both of them look like junk on paper? Race number 2, Terry, is probably going to be one of these maiden races. Yes, indeed. It's a 1 mile and 70-yard maiden claiming for $12,500. And at a mile and 70 yards, there's been a speed bias at Horseshoe Indianapolis favoring inside post to the out. So the closer you are to the rail, the better. Our pace worksheet tells a little bit of a story here as well because we have a horse that's scratched. That's the 2 horse. Could have been one of the early pace setters, but if you're looking at the way I calculate pace numbers, the 6 horse does look like it's going to be the one, a left arrow horse that does have the most early speed in this race. In fact, it has a plus advantage at 2 and 4 furlongs, so likely to be maybe as much as a length ahead of anybody else. The 3 and the 5 have never been close over here. That's why they get this NC. 8 horse, down arrow, dropping in class. 6 horse, down arrow, dropping in class. And the 4 horse, looking at this one, does have the top late pace figures in the field. And when you combine its early ability with its late ability, it has a 10-point advantage over the next closest horse, Terry. So how are you going to put these in order when the race is done?
Well, after you just said that, my top pick is the number 4, Turbo 60. He ran second versus similar in his last race, has the highest last race speed rating. Trainer wins 50% of the time, bringing back a beaten favorite to race again. Then I like number 8, Brent Spence. He drops in class today and has a trainer who wins 33% of the time when taking a horse from maiden to maiden claiming races. Then I like number 7, Runaway Image. He should improve while returning to dirt, drops in class today. Then my 4th pick is number 1, Palmer's Pass. The rail post is winning a 22% clip, and his best dirt speed is fastest among today's starters.
For me, in the second race, I'm going to start off with number 6. You don't have the 6 horse, Terry, in your picks?
I do not.
In this race. Just want to make sure that
I'm
not out of my mind here. But Protected Area, as we mentioned, is a left arrow horse, has an advantage at 2 and 4 furlongs. It's a nice bullet workout as well on October the 15th. So a horse that looks like it has some advantages in the race. Looks like it's sharp. Number 4, Turbo 60. Top last race speed figure in AZ pattern. Just missed as the favorite for trainer Jim Eggleston in the last race. Doesn't have a whole lot of favorites, only 8 of them, at least favorites that ran out and didn't win. Only 8 of them so far in 2022 with the year almost over, but 4 of them came back to win the next time out. Either that or all of his favorites win. Number 8, Brent Spence, beaten favorite in the last race. Trainer John Langmeyer won 6 of 14 times in 2022, where he had a favorite that did not win. Maiden special weight to maiden claiming drop for Mr. Langmeyer, which is also a 33% trainer, who otherwise wins at 16% overall. So you got a couple of alpha angles there. And then finally, number 7, Runaway Image. Tough call over the 1, but has less races and better numbers than the 1. So room to improve. Whereas, as Dennis Green says, we know who the 1 is. Race 3 is 1 mile on the turf. It's a maiden race for $34,000. Special weight variety. I'm not so sure that they're going to be running on turf today, but they haven't made those scratches yet, I don't think. So far at 1 mile on the turf, the bias has been tactical speed, so not necessarily on the front, but middle posts as well. What's up, Charles? How are you? It's Wild West horse racing at Horseshoe. Yeah, today, no doubt about it. Stewards never do anything. Jockeys cut each other off, but all kinds of dirty tricks. Favorites never win. Well, that sounds like fun. It's and then you got all maiden races today too, Charles, which makes it even more interesting for sure. Terry, run through your 4 numbers real quick for me so I can throw the box up.
All right. In that third race, it's 6, 2, 1, 11.
All righty. So I mentioned the box because the box it up is where we take 4 horses, put them together in an exacta box, trifecta box, superfecta box. Terry, take us through your ideas here today.
Okay. Number 6, Lord Donegal. He ran second versus similar in his only start, has the highest last race speed rating, has the best turf speed among today's starters, was heavily bet in to debut, and the trainer in the last 14 days has won 2 out of 5 starts with a third. He has a bullet workout on October 8th. Now I like number 2, Chick. He finished third versus similar in his only start, has a high percentage winning trainer who wins 29% of the races in the horse's first race at a route, and he has a good workout on October 11th. I like number 1, Pace. He ran second versus similar in his last race on the turf. And then number 11, Now and Later. He's a first-time starter, but his breeding suggests he will like the grass.
Now and Later. Did you ever eat those as a kid, Terry?
I did. Yeah.
Do they still make those? I don't know. I don't see
idea.
them when I go to the store anymore. So it's kind of. So for me in race number 3, this one is my best bet, Terry. So hopefully it gives your box it up a nice bump to get started. That's Lord Donegal, does have a double place edge. So 10 points better than the next closest horse out of the gates. Also has the top late pace figures. So you can't catch it, and it can run faster than you in the end. And talk about a horse that's working well. 3 consecutive bullet workouts in a row. So I hope they haven't left everything in the practice track and don't have anything left for the actual track. Number 2 on Chic, better betting favorite last time out and debut for trainer Brad Cox. It's going to go long for the first time for the high win percent trainer, but that's a 30% angle for Mr. Cox, who typically only wins at 22%. Also has a strong workout lately. Number 11, Now and Later. Best of the first-time starters, I don't know, but you got to throw one in there. So I put that one in there. I feel like it's the best of the first-time starters. And then finally, number 4, I'm going to take a bit of a flyer here. If you look at the early pace numbers in the last couple races, would put him in contention early in this race, but then he has faded. But this time around, he's getting first-time Lasix, and I'm a fan of that first-time Lasix with speed combination. That's what we're going to get with Augustus Blue. And like Charles says, you don't know who's going to win, and maybe if he's on the lead, the jockey can cut some folks off and keep up the pace and go to the winner's circle as a price.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Well, we'll find out. Race number 5. Again, one of the few on the card that's not a maiden type race. 5.5 furlongs. This one's claiming 5,000 for non-winners of 2 lifetime. So far at 5.5 furlongs, of course, you'd expect speed is the way. Post positions 1 through 7 are fair. If you happen to wear an 8 or higher, you are penalized a little bit. If we did we forgot to do race number 3, Terry?
No, we didn't.
I didn't do my pace.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
I
didn't remind you. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. But just in case so you can see the 6 horse here, look, he's got all these advantages. Yeah. Everybody else is over here, either first-time starter. But in any case, we'll go off to race number 4 now, Terry. I felt like something was wrong a little bit there. We have a couple of horses here squared off. Those are the ones that should be your early pace setters, the ones towards the front. The 2 horse being a pressure closer is a left arrow horse in here. The 5 horse so far in its efforts has never been close, but does have a little bit of late pace to him, so you never know. The 3 horse, one of the horses that might press for the lead early out, at least that's the way to the winner's circle previously for it, has a little bit of late pace. So if one of these 2 can get out on an easy lead, or the 1 or the 7 or the 2, maybe it's a case where pace will make the race. And if you're not that slow at the go, you can go all the way, in the words of Chris Berman. This is your best bet, Terry. Which one is it?
It's number 1, Time to Confess.
Number 1.
Yeah, she won her last race at Horseshoe Indianapolis and has a very good jockey. And then number 7 is my second pick, I Dare You to Dance. She won her last race at Horseshoe Indianapolis and has
Is
the
that
highest.
was that Bev's opening line to you?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. Yeah. And I showed her how to do it too.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
sure.
it's he has the highest last speed rating also, or she does. And then number 3, Sister Justice drops in class today. The trainer's horses win 21% of all the claiming races that he enters them in. And this horse can improve while returning to a sprint. The trainer jockey combination last 14 days been in the money 50% of the time, winning 3 of those. And then I like number 2, Just a Simple Girl. She finished 3rd versus Tougher in her last race, has the highest last speed figure at today's distance, and her best start speed is fastest among today's starters.
So it looks like we have a best bet daily double potential right there today,
That's
Terry.
it,
Let's hope
yeah.
they both can come home first.
Be nice.
It would be indeed a good thing. For me in race number 4, I'm going to start with number 2, Just a Simple Girl. So where you left off, I begin. It is a left arrow horse with some of the most late pace in the field. Lone PC horse, so it can take advantage if they go too fast. It can take advantage if they go too slow, and probably is going to improve in the 3rd start after a layoff. Number 1, Time to Confess. Coming off a maiden win in the 12th try with some improved speed figures, 4 consecutive races. But the numbers aren't any better than any other horse in this field. And quite frankly, I don't think for a horse coming off the maiden win in the 12th try should be 7-5 morning line. Probably going to live up to it, but I had to try to beat it. Number 7, I Dare You to Dance. Got the maiden win in her last with the top last race speed figure. Again, just a point or so above everything else in this class. That win came in the 9th try, so we'll see if it can go back to back. Number 4 is my final selection here, Prime and Proper. Its pace numbers from the start to the middle to the end were better across the board last time out. And then if you look at all of the horses in this field, there's really not a lot of difference between the 1, the 2, and the 7 and the 4, and then the 3, the 2, the 5, and the 6, or whatever else is left. So I think this race, you can pretty much bumble them up all together and come up with any one of them could possibly win, because none of them really is a standout, in my opinion, Terry.
Okay.
It's also our hot dog pick 4. So Terry, in that race where anything can happen, in my view, he says it could only go one way. So it just tells you the nature of this Hollywood or this Horseshoe Indianapolis card today. You're going to go all in the beginning and
That's
then
right.
down to 1.
I got a feeling in that first race is going to be a pretty good price, so that's why I went all. And then, of course, because of our budget, you have to really watch what you do. So I did 2 in the next and 3 in the next, and then I just took my best bet. Going to live or die with that one. And a lot of times, what I notice is if a horse has finally broke its maiden and won, it kind of likes that, so it wins the very next time.
So Charles says he likes the 7 in race number 4. That looks like a pace duel between the 1, 2, and 3. Sets up for the outside horse, the 7 horse. Yeah, I have the 7 horse in there too, as well as my 3rd pick. So I felt like looking at my pick 4, I think the 1 or the 2 are your top 2 horses in that field. Race number 2, I think, again, anything could happen in that race looking at it. Race number 3, I'm going to single the 6 horse off of that early pace advantage that it has relative to everybody else, along with the fact that it does have the most late pace as well. All those bullet workouts in there. If the horse doesn't win today, it's not going to win. And then race number 4, 2, 1, 7, and 4. So I'm going to close it out like that. I'm spending the maximum today, Terry. That's what I'm going to do. It is your best bet, as you mentioned. And yesterday's play of the day for the professor, as you mentioned with our show, Mark Henning, got rained out. We got rained out too. I don't know how that is. We're all inside, but we did. Today, so you got a twofer today. You got the Guardians getting a 1.5 in the game, going over 4.5 runs with the New York Yankees. That's a plus 105 parlay on DraftKings. And then also a little later on in the day, you have the San Diego Padres over 6.5 runs. That's a $230 plus parlay as well. You can catch all of the parlays of the day. There's a link below in the description here on YouTube and as well on Facebook and all of our social sites at Horse Race the number 2 day, Horse Race the number 2 day. Please help us today. Our goal for today is 20 likes on YouTube. So if you like what you see so far, please give us that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Hopefully we can bring home some winners for you as well which I'm sure you would appreciate, right, Terry?
I would. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's move on and move forward to race number 5 at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Race number 5 is 5 furlongs on the turf. And guess what, Terry?
It's maidens.
It's a maiden race, and it may or may not be on the turf. As I mentioned, right now, I know the weather forecast is calling for rain. I haven't seen it as of yet. 5 furlongs on the turf, as you can imagine, speed matters, and it is. It looks to me, too, like it's inside-out speed. So the closer you are to the rail, again, the better off you're likely to be in race number 5. I didn't hold on. I almost kicked myself out of the meeting here. We have a scratch so far in race number 5. The 8 horse, you can see, again, the down arrows indicating horses that are moving down in class.
Yep.
You have the sideways arrows. These are horses that, in my view, are running at the same level. I think there was one in here that's moving up. I don't know. Not in this race.
Number 3, I think. Number 3.
There's a couple. Yeah, number 3 is moving up, and it looks like the 4 is moving up as well, but he's not been close. The 6 is a first-time starter. And then looking at the pace figures, it looks to me like the 5 and the 10 are likely to be going at it at the quarter-mile marker. But the 5 horse does then take a plus advantage after 4 furlongs. So it could be as much as a length ahead of everybody else with 1 furlong to go, Terry. That's not a whole lot of race left for the 5 horse to close it out. If the pace figures are predictive, let's see if that has anything to do who you predict is going to win.
Well, I'm going to take the closer, number 9, Point Well Taken. You know, she finished 3rd versus Tougher in her last race. She drops in class today. Her best turf speed is fastest among today's starters. Then I like number 2, Marquis Miss. She finished 2nd versus Tougher on the dirt in her last race. She has the highest race speed rating, drops in class today, and has a high percentage winning trainer. Then I like number 3, Spurt. She has finished in the money in her last 3 races, and she's shipping in with a trainer who wins 25% of the races when shipping a horse into race. And she may improve because they've added blinkers today. And then I like number 1, One More Laugh. She had a disappointing finish in her last race, but she had trouble during that race. And the rail post is winning at a 19% clip, and she has a high percentage winning trainer.
Charles says, watch Crazy Rides on the jockeys. It's a wild action pack. Bump down the lane. They try to pick a horse that stays out of trouble. Yes, that could be yeah, there's always nice prices there too at Horseshoe Indianapolis. One thing I like, you know, I'm really starting to think a little bit more of, I mean, one of the things about doing this every day and reviewing every day is I'm thinking about picks and a price, looking for every race where which price horse is the one, instead of just constantly ranking them always. There's always something upsetting you in there. So I'm trying to figure out which way to look at that. And I mean, I've been at this for years and years and years. So I'm just trying to maybe look at the outside the horses that I have selected and see which one of them maybe has some room to improve, to continue to improve my skills at this game, Terry, which I know everybody does because we're all looking for the Holy Grail where we get that one day where we pick every superfecta from race 1 to race 10 in perfect order. And when we do, then we can retire, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we'll never retire. All right. So in race number 5, I like the 2 horse in my box it up. Martique Miss drops in class after the top last race speed figure, which was all the way back in March, Terry, but does have some good workouts getting ready. The horse has been very close. Denzel Washington in the barbershop, just hasn't gotten a haircut yet. 9 races, 3 seconds, 4 thirds, but on the turf twice with a 2nd and a 3rd. Again, they might take this one off the turf, but who knows? Point Well Taken is coming in from Kentucky Downs. And if you watched on Thursday, Charles brought up some interesting facts about Kentucky Downs shippers. That track must take a lot out of horses because they don't really perform well next time out at other tracks, particularly those horses that won at Kentucky Downs. She's been close, but she is a closer, Terry, and she's shortening up here, which doesn't make any sense to me. If you're a closer and you haven't been able to win at 5.5, 6 furlongs, why would you shorten up? It seems to me you should go longer. That tells me they probably intend to push this horse right from the jump today.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, Stand Up Comedienne, spelled incorrectly, does have some back speed if you look back on that resume there. Some very good workouts in September. and then a consistent maintenance schedule from there. So stand-up comedian can go back to its early pace numbers in its back class, maybe can get to the front on this group and never look back. And then finally, number 7, Ramadan showed speed in England before coming to the U.S. The first 3 here in the United States, woo, they were bad. But last time out, finally showed that early pace that it showed over in Britain. That was on dirt. So it goes back to grass where she struggled. The race comes off the grass because of weather. That could be a benefit for Ramadan. But I think the tell here is that Reylu Gutierrez is getting on the horse today. He's got a high win percent in the few races that he's run at Indiana, which tells me they think, at least his agent does, that this horse has a shot to win today. Race number 6, Terry, is your long shot. Race number 7 is my long shot, Terry. And so we maybe have a long shot double
Could be
today. So race number 6 is 1 mile. Terry, guess what it is?
It's maiden.
Yes, a maiden race. How about that? We got a belly full of them today for sure.
We do.
Race number 6, 1 mile. Biased on the track there has been speed. The rail gets a little bit of a penalty. Everything else is fair, Terry. In race number 6, we do have another scratch here. That is the 2 horse, at least the ones that have been announced so far. It looks like the 4 and the 5 are likely to be the ones that are on the lead. There is not a traditional, at least not so far in any of these races, horses that have blasted to the front. So if you get the lead, you might have a distinct advantage today. Get a little bit brave. Here you can see again, we got the arrows indicating horses that are down in class. Looks like the 8 horse is probably the only one dropping in class. The 1's never been close. The 7's never been close. The 9 has never been close, but he too has a little bit of early pace. So maybe today is the day the 9 gets a little bit of close. The 11 horse, it's never been close. If you're looking for a closer, the 3 horse is your guy with the top late pace figures in the field. Who is your guy?
Well, I like the number 4, Mazzoro. He has an early speed running style, and I think that'll help his chances. The trainer-jockey combination the last 14 days have won 3 out of 12 starts in 2 seconds and a third. Now, I like number 8, Tell Lights, and I think that's what a lot of these horses are going to see. He drops in class today, and his best dirt speed is fastest among today's starters. Now, I like number 5 is my 3rd pick, Outstanding Justice. He finished in the money in 3 out of 5 starts at Horseshoe International and Indianapolis, and has a trainer who wins 20% of the time when taking a horse from a sprint and a sprint to a route. And then number 3, Always Spring. He should improve at the longer distance, has a pretty good jockey.
Hey, in Chicago today, last night was in the 30s. Today, a high like 41. Tonight is supposed to freeze. Boy, I could certainly go for Always Spring. I always ask myself every year, this time of year, why in the hell did people settle in the north? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wonder, why do I stay? What's wrong with me? Am I like what do they call it? Stockholm syndrome to the cold?
I think so.
Yeah, it's just terrible. All right, for me, number 8, Taillights. That's what I'd like to have Chicago see one of these days with me driving out of this crazy-ass town. But anyway, for whatever reason, this horse had been facing non-graded stakes company in the last 2 races. Kind of regressed badly last time out at the end of the race, but did have similar quarter-mile call fractions at 1 mile and 70 yards compared to 6 furlongs. So maybe a little bit shorter distance today makes a difference. I actually had somebody else rated higher than him, but the scratch knocked it out. Then I'm going to go with number 3, Always Spring, as my second choice. It's actually my first choice for actual life, Always Spring. All sorts of issues in its debut. Showed the most late pace of all these baby horses. I feel like if he can clean up the problems in race problems at the beginning and the middle, I feel like he's got a real good shot to win this race today. Number 5, Outstanding Justice, could be, as we mentioned, one of the pace setters in here. It's going to go long for the first time, which can be an effective combination. Horses that got some early pace going to run long. They don't know they're going long for the first time, and maybe can carry that pace from wire to wire. And then finally, number 10 was a tough call over your long shot for me, Terry, but the 4 horses had a couple of chances to run out a mile. It hasn't gotten it done yet. So the 10 horse, Almighty Justice, only has 1 start to his name so far. So the horse could really improve, which is what I'm hoping for, or it could really suck this time around, which I'm not hoping for. So, but we just don't know which direction that horse is going to go. So we're going to go optimistic and think that the horse maybe has some more upside. Race number 7 is 1 mile on the turf. And guess what? It is another
maiden race.
Yes, we haven't had enough of those today. Race 7, here we see an interesting pace chart here. The 4-horse, which looked to me like it might have been the best of the first-time starters. Well, we're not going to find out today. Got a bunch that are dropping down in class in here. You see the down arrows. So a lot of them moving down. 7-horse is a left arrow horse, usually a closer towards the back of the pack in the races it's run so far. But it's normal pace out of the gate should put the 7 in contention today. The horse moves forward, which might make it a little bit more brave than usual. It's going to be chasing the 1 and the 3, who also have some early pace. These guys are all running at the same level that they ran last time, Terry. The 11-horse makes its mark as the one with the most early pace and late pace combination, followed by the 2. This race looks pretty wide open to me, Terry. I had a really difficult time settling on which horses I really liked here. I did make this my long shot because I had a difficult time settling on one. Who did you settle on?
Well, I'll tell you, this is a very wide open race. And I started off with the 11 horses, my first pick, New Art. He finished third versus similar on the dirt in his only start. He was a heavily bet favorite in that debut. Has the highest last speed rating, highest winning trainer, who in the last 14 days have been in the money 3 out of 5 times, winning 2 of those. Yeah, I like number 5, Regimental. He drops in class today, has the highest last speed rating, and may improve with Lasix being added. Then number 2 is my third pick, Mohaven Holiday. The longer distance, I think, will help. His best start speed is fastest among today's starters, and he should improve with blinkers being added today. Then I like number 1, Frady. He ran second versus similar in his last race, and he has a decent workout at Kingland, 4 furlongs, 48.4 breezing. He was the 37th best out of 134 workouts.
Not bad. All right, so the 11-horse is my long shot of the day. So we have a back-to-back long shot, so maybe a long shot double between Terry and I. When we do our Friday night football show, and we talk about every week about how there's what I call the square suckers bet, and I fell for it this week with the San Francisco 49ers against the Atlanta Falcons. And I pointed out on the show, it looked like the square suckers bet. Well, the 11-horse is 6-1 morning line, and it looks to me like it might be the square sucker bet today in horse racing, because the last time out, it went off at 3-2 for trainer Brad Cox. And this time, and it rallied hard at the end of the race with a little bit of early race issues. So on paper, it looks like this should be the favorite, and instead he's 6-1. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Brad Cox does hit at 28% in the second start. I think he hits it like 30% second route race. So you know the horse can handle the distance because he's already run the distance. Strange to me that it's 6-1 morning line. Probably is the square sucker bet of the day. Number 5 is Regimental, my second choice. Did tie for the top last race speed figure. Drops in from Kentucky Downs, and as I imagine, those horses do put in big efforts there. So sometimes it takes a little bit out of them the next race around. But it is getting first-time Lasix here today, so I think that does help the horse improve. Number 2, as we see Terry once again invaded my computer overnight. Mohamed Holiday, the lone race on that turf at Lone Star, would probably make this horse the winner if it could repeat it. Would make him definitely hard to beat. If it's sloppy, it gets wet and rainy, sometimes turf is a good indication of how a horse might handle an off track. If it stays, if it just goes to fast dirt, then I don't know what to do with this horse, to be honest with you, because the 2 races it ran on dirt were not so good, regular dirt. And then finally, number 3, True Prodigy, is a track dropper, did show some early pace in its last race, and gets a shot of Lasix today. So I think you'll see that early pace hold up longer with True Prodigy, and Deshaun Parker, I think, has the mount. So he does pretty well there at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and he was a friend of the show. Yes. Call me crazy, but he likes the 7 horse. He likes the 6 in race 7. I don't think in this race, honestly, Charles, you can pick any horse, and you're not crazy to do so, because that, I guess when I was going through that race, I couldn't settle on any horse, to be honest with you. So I probably should be my box it up, but I'm not confident that we're going to be able to land 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 in the exacta, trifecta, or superfecta. Because
I actually think it's the most wide open race of the card today.
Mhm.
So
yeah, I really felt like from top to bottom, none of them stood out, and any of them. It won't surprise me if the longest shot on the board wins that race. So I just pretty much guaranteed that whoever goes off at 3-2 is going to be an easy winner. All right. So race number 8, Terry, 1 1/16 mile. And it is, of course, what is it?
Maiden race.
Another maiden. What is it? Like maiden? Shouldn't it be on Monday? Maiden Monday, not maiden Tuesday?
Yeah, should be.
A mile and 1/16. There is a speed bias there that's overwhelmingly favors posts 4 through 7, because 1, 2, and 3 have not done very well, and 8 and out have not done very well. And I think they've run about 50 races already at that distance. So it's a big enough data set to say that there's clearly something going on there. It looks to me like in this race, we do have a horse that might have a pace advantage in here. And it is an E-horse, the 5 horse that's gotten on the lead, does have a plus advantage at 2 furlongs. That extends out to plus at 4 furlongs. The only issue with that horse is it has a history of getting to the lead and then kind of fading a little bit at the end. You got pretty much horses that run in lanes here. You got pressure horses, this group right here, which is where you find the horse that has the most early pace and late pace combination. That's the 6 horse. And then you got all closers over here, where the 2 horse looks like. Of the closers, it has the most late punch. This is another race, Terry, where I feel like the outcome is pretty much wide open. Not so much as the previous start, but still pretty wide open. How are you going to close out the last of the thoroughbred races for Horseshoe today?
Well, I like that horse you talked about first, the number 5 horse, Prince Shim. He ran second on turf in his last race. He was so returning to the dirt may help also. The jockey in the last 7 days have been in the money 8 out of 17 starts, 6 wins. And he has a good 4 furlong workout on October 12th. Then I like number 1, Hitchpin. He finished third versus similar in his last race, has a high percentage winning trainer who wins 26% of the time when he brings a beaten favorite back to race again. The jockey trainer combination in the last 14 days has been in the money 50% of the time, winning 2 of those. And then number 6, One Big Dude's my third pick. He ran second versus similar in his last race, has the highest last race speed rating, and his best dirt speed's fastest among today's starters. And then number 3 is my fourth pick, Tap Tap Coming Through. I love that name. He has a high percentage winning trainer, and his best dirt speed is close to the average winning speed.
And once again, Terry's in my computer, just shuffling up the picks a little bit. One Big Dude did run a Z pattern last time out, and that was a much better race than the previous start. So I'm hoping for some continued improvement from One Big Dude. Finchpen, I think, is the favorite there. He was heavily bet in its last race. Trainer Randy Klopp does rebound at 27% the next time around the track with the beaten favorite. This third race off of a layoff, and maybe it was the same. It'll be the same as that last race. And horses only had one other 3-race cycle. And the third race was a slight downtick than the second race, but pretty much the same effort. So I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of improvement out of the one. I think you're going to see the same race you saw last time. Number 3, Tap Tap Coming Through, on the other hand, was considerably better in the last race. And I'm hoping for some continued improvement in race number 3 off the bench, that classic handicapping angle. And then finally, number 5, Terry, I wanted to put this horse in the front too, with the top early pace numbers in there and then extending out at the half-mile marker, but has faded in every race. This is the longest race he's going to run, 1 1/16. So adding that extra 16th of a mile today, I think hurts this horse, doesn't help them. But you still got to respect that early speed edge. But I'm concerned that those legs are going to go wobbly late. And if they do, the horse will be passed by horses that have a little bit more late pace. That brings us to our prime rib pick 4. And of course, in the race that I thought was the most wide open, that's the one I decided to only go 3 deep in. And the reasoning was, Terry, because I can go all the way to the end. And I figured, you know what, just make picks and move on, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I went deeper in the other legs.
Yeah, well, I went deep as I could in that 7th race, the 3rd leg. I went with 5 there. I started with 4 in the first leg because I hate it when I miss the first leg. So I'd like to get a little more.
I hate it when I miss any leg.
Well, I do too, but especially for me, the first leg,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very frustrating.
I don't know about you. I would rather miss the first leg than I don't like to get into it and then miss. Once I'm in, I want to stay in. I'd rather lose in the first leg if I'm going to lose, because then I don't have to think about it anymore, because you start getting to the second, and especially if you make it through the first 3 legs, you're looking at will pays. And then if you don't hit, like, it's like that one really makes me mad.
Yeah, but then I get a lot of pleasure out of winning that first leg, and then maybe I win the second leg, and it just gets my adrenaline going. So the really frustrating thing to me is to get to the fourth leg and have that one not win.
Yeah, that's the one I hate the most.
Yeah, and it happens to me a lot. So I guess a lot of people. So anyway,
otherwise we would all win all of our pick 4s, right?
That's right.
All right, so there are our prime rib pick 4s for races 5, 6, 7, and 8. Again, here are our full card picks for the thoroughbred races. We'll get to race 9, the quarter horse race, in just 1 second here. Terry's best bet is in race number 4. Mine is in race number 3. So that is a best bet, daily double opportunity. Long shot for Terry in race number 6. Long shot for me in race number 7. A long shot double opportunity in there as well. Our box it ups. Terry's in race number 3. I'm in race number 5. $1 exacta box, 50-cent try, 10-cent superfecta box. Our hot dog pick 4s starting in race number 1. Terry says, I'm buying that first race because he just told you he loves to win that first race. It gets his adrenaline going. So what better way to make sure that happens? Go all. I'm going to go 1-2 in that race. And then I'm going to kind of extend out. My best bet, I'm soloing in race number 3. And you can tell just by the way we're doing our pick 4s, there's a lot of confusion with this maiden dominated card.
Yeah, there is.
We're all kinds of different ways in the way we're setting up our tickets here. Here are our prime rib pick 4s. All right, Terry, the last race of the day is a 330-yard quarter horse race. You love these races. You're going to give us your thoughts. I'm just going to give us my numbers. Go.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I like number 6 as my first pick. Want to be a runaway. Ran second in his last race, which is pretty nice. And then number 5, he's a Fumar Red. He ran third in his last race, so he likes to be there. Number 9, Trez of Glory. This horse is always in the mix, and I like those outside horses. They have a lot less trouble. And then number 7, Weasley Up, just missed in his last race, but he had trouble in that race. And if you get a clean trip here, you'll do much better.
All right. Well, I can't tell you why any of these horses are going to win other than I rank them according to my mathematical formulas. And the 5 horse got the best number. The 6 horse got the next best number, then the 9. And this is pretty funny because now I know Terry's in my computer for certain. 5, 6, 9, 5, 6, 9. We just disagree on the 4 and the 7 at the end. So I don't know what the heck is going on there, Terry.
I don't either.
Yes, indeed. So hopefully today, again, they haven't really come out with the I don't think they've come out with the full scratches yet because of the weather, but they should be starting pretty soon. So in the meantime, a little later on today, if you want to do Will Rogers, which has a fast track today over at Horse Guarantee Tip Sheet, it is our free track of the day. There is a link down in the description below. Please use that one. Also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, wherever you follow, there's a link there. And over at horseracingtoday.net, there are links. Please use those links so they know where you are coming from. You can see in race number 1. Yeah, there you go. 1-1 favorite. We really went out on the edge with that one with Pato. But maybe later on in the card, we got some better ones. There you go. A best bet in race number 2, the 5 horse going off at 3-1. That's a good best bet. 3-1, right, Terry?
Yeah, it is.
All right, my man. Tomorrow, Charles and I will be back as Terry goes on vacation. He's one of those. This is his side gig, right? It's his version of Uber, except he would get paid a lot more with Uber.
That's right.
Any final thoughts? Well, tomorrow, Charles and I will be doing Keeneland. On Thursday, Charles and I will be doing Belmont at the Big A. I don't know what Tom and I will be doing for Foreign Fridays. We'll figure that out as the week goes along. Of course, Eddie C and Chris P will be together for their spot plays. I think they're going to take over the Thursday night spot, and that wraps everything up. So any final thoughts before we get out of here today, Mr. Terry?
Yeah, I just hope that it's a good day for everybody. I've had a good day yesterday, and I'm hoping today stays that way. I hope if you're betting the horses, you win, and win in anything you're doing this week in life. So
for me, I'm going to tell you today to smile more. Actually, I was reading about this, Terry, in a book, that when you smile, it tricks your brains into releasing endomorphine. So even if you're having a crappy day, because it's 31 degrees outside of Chicago, you just smile more. It releases your endomorphines and you'll feel better. So that's a positive, even if you're faking it. So it's making good on that fake it till you make it. Be nice to somebody in your office or around you who knows they don't deserve for you to be nice to them. My mother always used to tell me, be the bigger person. Be the bigger person today. And then finally, no matter what it is you do, Terry, hold on one second. Charles says, sign on the jock store. If you don't ride out your horse here, you won't ride here anymore. Welcome to Horseshoe. Well, that's probably why they ride crazy. So let's take that advice here too. So ride out your race today, and no matter what you do, so that you can return, make sure that it ends up in the
winner's circle.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic Terry Tuesday.